introduction to advanced accounting. In the fall, it is offered as a Web 4E modality, which means primarily it'll all be taken online, but we will meet a couple Thursday evenings a month just to kind of cover the harder problems that you're going to have when you get into your consolidation chapters, which are the first 6 chapters of the textbook. But if you go into your Start Here tab, that shows you the textbook, and I've been using it for years, so you should be able to find it cheap and used online if it's not in the bookstore used. And then here is your master syllabus and your class syllabus. So I'll open the class syllabus up to show you, kind of some of the highlights. The master syllabus is really just more of the catalog description and the GLOs, the general learning outcomes and stuff like that. So I'll let you look that over on your own. But so our syllabus file, you're going to have 3 tests. Those tests will be taken in Blackboard. And what we'll have for your problems is I will provide you an Excel template. You'll see as we go through these problems, Excel is the most expedient way to work out a consolidation problem. To do it by hand is very time consuming. So Excel makes it a lot easier. So I will provide those templates, and they will be attached to the test. You will open them up, you will fill in your answers, and then you will resubmit them to me. The test is timed. I believe it's set at 2 hours. So that should give you plenty of time, again, to open and to save. I mean, sometimes students will have some technical difficulties, but for the most part, it runs fairly smoothly. So that'll be how all 3 tests are. Your final is not comprehensive. It's just over the current test, or your final test, which is test 3. And that actually is your easiest test. Test 1 and test 2 are your hardest because those are all on the consolidation chapters, which again are the harder part of the problem or the course. Then we have homework problems, which you'll do in Excel also. Now, I am not providing you a template there because part of the reason I assign these is that accounting students really need to be comfortable with Excel. And you all have either taken or currently taking an Excel class because it is required in our major. But I know they go fairly quickly through that class. And if you don't use it, a lot of times you lose it. You forget, oh, how do I do that? So it's just good to use Excel, to get comfortable with Excel. So I'm also kind of testing that ability too. Not only am I looking at for the correct answers, I'm looking at you to play around with Excel. But I'll show you where I have a video on that also. Then there's also a consolidation research project that'll be due at the end of the semester. It's just 3 pages. And it's not really in depth, but we'll cover that after we take those first 2 tests. So here's the chapters that we cover. Again, you can kind of see those first 6 chapters are all on consolidation, and then chapter 8 is also on consolidation. So those are the ones I feel that are the hardest. I do encourage you to come to class. I know that some people are not able to due to work or personal constraints, or maybe they live even farther away. So that's this Web 4E is the kind of flex where there are students who want to come and they want to come more often, and then there's some who don't. So the Web 4E is just a nice blend of that, so that we have that offered in the fall. In the spring, it's always a face-to-face class. But I do encourage you to attend if you can, just because it is helpful to see the problems worked out on the board. Because you're taking the tests online and you're going to be downloading those Excel folders, I am trusting you all not to cheat. So the academic honesty and learning policy is here in the syllabus, and we do expect you to do your own work and to not get any help from other students or go online and search answers on any type of websites. So that's kind of the most important part. From a tutoring standpoint, it's really just me. So I would recommend that you email me if you're having any questions. That's probably the best way to answer it. And then what I try to do, if I can, is do a video. Because then if you have that question, probably somebody else does as well. And then I can just create more YouTube videos. The withdrawal date is there listed in the syllabus. And then all of your due dates are here listed in the syllabus. And some of these could possibly change. It depends. But I would let you know if any of those due dates change. So currently that's our current schedule. So look that over. Okay, then if we go into our lessons tab, it's set up by week and by chapter, because as we look through here, there is going to be some chapters as we get a little further into it that are hard. They're hard and they're long, and the problems are long. So I do allow for 2 weeks in those chapters. So those hard ones, those are the ones that we will meet in class, and I'll try to work out as many problems as I can in the class period. I probably can't get to them all in just one class period, but I will try to get to as many as I can. But so inside these folders, actually, I think I'll go to chapter 2. And then here it shows you your assignments. So again, if you have an Excel assignment, it will be listed here on this page in the lessons tab. It'll tell you what chapter obviously we're in and then what number you are to do in your Excel homework. But within the folder itself, you'll have materials. So you will have notes that I have prepared from the textbook. You will have a PowerPoint. And then my verbal comments are also separate. Sometimes the PowerPoint doesn't work with my voice, so I have the voice here as a separate file that sometimes is easier to review. Then all of your exercises and your review questions are answered out in here. The problems I don't have the solutions for. I'll have a YouTube video of a couple of them in class, and then here I'll have the final answer. When we put it all together and we consolidate it, I will show you the answers to that. So what I could increase in YouTube videos is the steps that get you to this, but then this is your final answer. And as you look at mine here, this is what I expect your Excel to look like. That's the goal, is to have it look like that. Now you'll see as we get into more, as we get into the little bit harder of the chapters, so if I would jump down, let me jump down to chapter 4 and show you the Excel, you can see it gets bigger. So that's kind of the key, is that, oops, no, I don't want to open that up, sorry, click the wrong button. So here's like a solution here. No, that's also not the right file. Let me go back. I'm not pulling, I want to pull like an Excel one. All right, so let me see. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, so then this one I don't have quite as nicely color-coded as that one before. I do recommend the color coding. I think it's nice when you see it that way, like that first one I showed you. But you can see now you have the income statement, you have the statement of retained earnings, and then you have the balance sheet. So your consolidated worksheet does get bigger, and then there'll be more entries. As we look in here, you can see all these different entries, and I expect you to code them like the textbook does and like I have with the different letters, if it's an A entry or an I entry. And then again, I do recommend color coding it also, like that first one I showed you. And I do have a YouTube video on that. If you go back into the lessons tab, here I have a YouTube video that explains kind of how to set up the template. Because then what I'm saying in there is I want you to do it. You know what I mean? I want you to play around with Excel. And once you create the basic template, I would save it separate from the file that you're uploading to me for the homework. And then you can keep building on that. So then when you get into the next chapter and you need to add the income statement and the statement of retained earnings, you already got the balance sheet done. Just kind of add those statements and keep it going. Then once you get all those statements in there, for the most part, we carry those forward in chapter 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Then chapter 8, we may add another little section. And again, in some of those other chapters, you may add line items. There might be different accounts, but the basic format will be there. So I would take some time to set that up in the first place, watch my video, look at the examples, look at the textbook, because that's ultimately what I want that Excel to look like. And then so going back in here, in your assignments, then you'll really just have that Excel. So there are I may release some of these extra credit questions as well, but right now I have those hidden from the students. So right now you just have the Excel to complete, and you would just submit it, and I do want it in Excel in that file. Okay, then if we go back to my lessons tab and we go down to our test review, again, we'll meet in class for the review, but if you are unable to attend, I do have a file that shows the work of those, my work on the board as I'm going through those review sheets, and hopefully that will help you. Now, you'll also have a take-home quiz that will be due with each chapter. I'm going to be revising those. I'm revising the test and the take-home quizzes. So as soon as I have those revised, I'll have them out in Blackboard, and you'll see those also when you get to the week of the test. So we've got a few weeks to get there though, because that's not until week 5. So you'll see. I'll revise those and I'll let you know when they're out. But then the rest of it all kind of goes that same way. Now, as we get further after test 2, I will talk about that consolidation project. So you see it's not due until midnight, but in here I have a discussion post where I would like you to go in and say what company you have picked. Here gives you, it's a document that gives you some details, and it gives you some companies that you could choose. I want each student to do a different one though. So this could give you some, but if you have, say you did a company in business finance and you know that they were consolidated, that they had multiple companies that they were, that consolidated into them, you can always pick another company as long as you know that they've been consolidated. But this just gives you some examples. So then that you'll go back to read over the requirements there, and then you'll submit it there. So it's answer the discussion question as soon as you know what company you're picking, so that everybody can see that. Look over the requirements, and then you'll submit it there again, not till the end of December though. So that's really it. Now the only other thing that, again, this is way later though, is we get to that very last week, we move out of the textbook and we talk about estates and trusts. Those are not in the textbook, so I have a PowerPoint, and I'm gonna give everybody an article about estates that you're gonna read, and you're gonna submit homework that summarizes that article worth 10 points. And then you will have an estates and trust problem on your test. It's really just journal entries. It's all journal entries for that one. So that's really it for the advanced accounting class. And again, hopefully, if you're able to come to our face-to-face meetings, if this is a fall class, please try to. If it's a spring class, then we meet face-to-face every Monday and Wednesday.